Hey, okay, so Carmelo Anthony, his father really thinks that he's got a great chance in appealing his murder conviction. You have to hear this. You have to hear what his attorneys are saying and their strategies. We'll get into that in depth in just a moment. Also, Graham Platner, all the Democrats that supported him with all those horrific warts that were showing how he's a vile, he really is a vile person, just is what it is, before the rape allegations. Also, I have what a great little concept from one of my friends on what the Democrats say about, well, is it okay to sexually assault somebody if they're a Republican, but not if they're a Democrat? Because that's the message they're sending. And then, and we'll explore that also with the Democrats being a cult based on their acceptance of some vile things because it supports the movement. We have also we have an Indian man who dropped a deuce, an apparent Indian man. I mean, he sure looks like he's Indian, dropping a deuce in a tree in broad daylight in Central Texas. It's igniting issues about who we're letting into the country and all sorts of stuff. Anytime there's a story involving poop, I'm going to cover it, just like Greg Gutfeld does. Also, a very sad milestone. The 10th anniversary, I can't believe it's been 10 years, of us losing our 5 Dallas police officers on this date, 7/7. I'll tell you the story where, from where I sat that night, live on the air, as it unfolded within a mile of our studio, roughly. And all night long that happened, all the coverage. Also, birth tourism in Texas, exposed, big time. All that is next. This is Chris Crock. And Croc Talk with Chris Crock. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Okay, Karmelo from Fox 4. Carmelo Anthony seeks retrial and judge's removal. First of all, there is no way in hell that Carmelo Anthony is going to get an appeal. If by a snowball's chance in hell is what he has of getting an appeal, I think 4% of appeals are granted, somewhere between 1% and 4%. I think it's 4% are granted, and only 1% are ever overturned. I believe that's what it is. Basically, he's got there's a 96 to 99% chance he won't even get his appeal. He's not going to get an appeal. Judge John Roach in Collin County did a fantastic job of running this trial, but let's see what they say, who they have on their quote-unquote dream team. By the way, Lee Merritt, the disgraced attorney who, as of right now, still, according to my searches, still has not passed the Texas State Bar. It's one of the hardest ones in the country, so he stays here as a civil rights attorney, which you can practice because that's federal, but he cannot practice criminal defense or criminal prosecution or anything criminal, nor can he advise people criminal prosecutions. In fact, the State Bar of Texas brought him in and smacked his hand real hard for getting close to those boundaries before. He ran for the Attorney General for the state of Texas only because he wanted to see billboards with his name up on the highway, like by Watermark, where he had it up there for like a year, so he could drive by it and mentally masturbate and go, "Look at me, my name's on a billboard. I am so awesome," knowing that he had no chance in hell of winning. Lee Merritt, the same Lee Merritt, race hustler, who tried to get me fired in a sustained 2-week-long campaign about, I'd say, 6-7 years ago. Completely failed. It was over the stuff with, what was that? With Amber Geiger and Botham Jean. And Botham's mom has said some horrible things, understandably in her pain, but even now she has her heart is filled with rage and hatred and no forgiveness, which is very unchristian. And she's got a serious problem. But nonetheless, I was calling her out on something, and Lee Merritt was working with the family, so he edited tape selectively, put it out there, and then sent it to black media and all sorts of stuff to try to get me fired. And boy, did he work hard at that. A lot of people called, tried to get me fired. And then a week later, he pretended he never did that, and then he started all over again as if it was brand new. So it was like a 2-week-long campaign, and he failed. Now, Carmelo Anthony seeks retrial and judge's removal from Fox 4's Sean Rabb. No, from Stephen Dow and Tracy Delight. Judge Roach expected to refer. They're trying to get Judge Roach to recuse himself. They want a new judge. They think that Judge Roach was somehow bad, which he wasn't. And yes, it's because there were 3 black jurors that could have been picked, 3 black people that could have been picked, but were knocked out in voir dire, which is the jury process of picking who you're going to use and who you're not going to use. Judge Roach is expected to refer the recusal motion to have him recuse himself for a regional administrative judge to determine if there's a warranted formal hearing. It's not going to work. It's not going to go. Even if it does, they will not win. They will not get an appeal. They won't even get an appeal. And if they did get one, they still won't win that appeal, but they won't get an appeal. The group agreed, this group of attorneys, they work free because the Anthony family says they're indigent. They have no money. I guess they wasted all those hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why am I not surprised? The grounds for recusal, Anthony's lawyers claim that Judge Roach made comments to news reporters following the trial and, quote, expressed personal opinions about the propriety and correctness of the jury's verdict, the fairness of the trial, and the correctness of the judge's own rulings during the trial. It doesn't matter. The trial's over. He has an opinion. He didn't do any of that until afterwards. No. And by the way, the judge could be also influenced by watching and hearing all the witnesses and the evidence, and then deciding and he didn't convict. He instructed the jury, and he even gave the jury, this is where the appeal's not going to happen, he even gave the jury a chance to do sudden passion, which I didn't know existed in Texas. Sudden passion is like, well, yes, it was murder 1, but I was just hit with so much passion and rage or emotion that I killed him. And that gets you like a much lower sentence. He offered them to pick sudden passion. The jury said, we don't want sudden passion. Karmelo's a cold-blooded killer. When a reporter asked the judge if he got it right, Judge Roach, yeah, they did, the judge says, then reportedly explained himself. Fox 4 says, also they want to go after the dismissal of the 3 potential black jurors. Roach told the reporter he followed the law in that case, and he did it to the T, and he's proud of that. That's exactly what he did. Teachers and social workers are absolutely struck all the time in cases like this because they are sympathetic to the student, the murderer. Continuing on, grounds for a new trial, Fox 4 continues. When asking for a new trial, the defense's motion doesn't argue that Karmelo Anthony is innocent, because he's not. Instead, they argue that his trial was conducted in a way that violated his constitutional rights. Yes, I'm black. I'm allowed to murder. I'm the victim here, remember? It points to the trial being effectively closed to the public, with no media cameras allowed in the courtroom and only 27 seats available to the public. The motion claims there's a violation of Anthony's Sixth Amendment right to a public trial. The trial was public. Media was in there. WFA TV Channel 8 and Fox 4 were in there every day. I read all their notes every day like a stenographer. And that's why I'm one of the few people that actually wrote down and has all the vile things Karmelo said under that tent, which I will read again if you missed that. So many people had no idea what Karmelo said under that tent before he murdered Austin Metcalf. It is vile. That in a moment. The trial was not closed to the public. The trial was completely covered by the media and was widely covered. So that's not going to fly. That's total BS. Oh, there are only 27 seats. That means nothing. Oh, no cameras. That was for the protection of the witnesses, particularly minor witnesses. That's not a big deal. The defense claims prosecutors didn't honor an off-the-record evidentiary agreement that kept the character and extraneous act evidence out of the trial. The character and extraneous acts. I told you the reason why I speculated that Karmelo never testified is because it would open up a can. I said this over and over again on this podcast and on TV radio shows and network shows and local shows all over the country. The reason why Karmelo didn't testify, I believe, is because there's so much nasty stuff that we would have found out about him. It would have really, really prejudiced the entire jury against him. That's why I think they never pulled him out. So they claim in this appeal that prosecutors didn't honor an off-the-record evidentiary agreement that kept character and extraneous act evidence out of the trial. According to the motion, prosecutors asserted on the final day of testimony the agreement wouldn't cover Anthony's testimony. That forced him to choose between testifying and exposing himself to damaging evidence, the defense says. I told you there's bad stuff, and that's why they never put Karmelo on the stand. it can a lot of murder people accused of murder don't go on the stand because it can hurt them a lot more than can help them. Another point raised in the motion: the legal team claims instructions were made in a way that made it difficult for the jury to consider Anthony acting in self-defense. Nobody thinks this. It's not going to happen. Now the Daily Mail's coverage of this. From the Daily Mail, quote, outrageous new entitled request by murderer Karmelo Anthony revealed as he launches fresh bid to be freed from prison. Karmelo Anthony, seeking a new trial, wants a different judge to oversee the future legal proceedings. He'll get the same result even if he gets a judge, but he won't get a new judge because this is not going to happen. The legal team has confirmed it has filed a motion for a new trial. Motion for a new trial raising constitutional and legal challenges stemming from the trial, requesting that those issues be decided by an, quote, independent judge, which is what every judge is supposed to be. They did not, unless you go into Dallas, where you get all Democrats and you get crazed, leftist, woke DEI judges like Amber Givens, who is now, I believe, going to be the new DA because people are so stupid they put her in office. She will be worse than Let Him Go Crusoe, I predict. Anthony's new legal team did not explain why they are seeking Judge Roach's removal. Well, he's white, and he presided over the case where he was convicted. They're not saying that, but that's probably what they're thinking. The appeal would be based on multiple grounds. Lee Merritt, who cannot practice criminal law in any way, shape, or form, as I've already explained, told the Daily Mail in June that race was a factor given that no black jurors served on the panel and whether Anthony received effective legal representation. Having no black jurors does not affect the case. Number two, they had an Islamic woman with a hijab. They had two Indian Americans, from India, Indian Americans. They had two Hispanics. That is a jury of color. Whether you like the color or not is irrelevant. Lee Merritt accused Karmelo Anthony's previous attorneys, Toby Howard and Mike Shook, of providing a complete lack of a defense, saying they didn't call basic witnesses. Maybe they didn't call them because it was nothing good. Nothing good. And what would Lee Merritt know anyway? He's not allowed to legally practice criminal law in this state anyways. Toby Shook is one of the best defense attorneys in Dallas-Fort Worth in North Texas and probably in Texas. Toby Shook is a former federal prosecutor. Toby Shook is legend. In any high-profile trial that you see that's criminal in North Texas with 8 million people, you'll see Toby Shook being a defense attorney because he's really good. And Lee Merritt, who can't practice criminal law, calling out Toby Shook is a joke. The parents asked Lee Merritt, and remember, these are the same parents whose grandmama said that it was racism and bias that led to her grandson getting convicted of murder. And remember, the parents who hired race-hustling bottom dweller Dominique Alexander, who has like 10 to 13 arrests on his record, including felony convictions, including being convicted and pleading guilty to shaking a little black baby boy. And his baby mama, Dominique's black baby mama, said in a press conference he beat the hell out of her. So that Dominique Alexander, the race hustler felon, they picked to use him to be a race hustler spokesperson, and now they pick race hustler Lee Merritt. So the parents say they asked Lee Merritt, race hustler, to assemble a criminal defense team. Michael Ware, who leads the Texas Innocence Project, but is not working in that capacity, just as a single guy, is one of the people they're using. I think one of the Ben Crump attorneys are coming in, etc., but it's not going to happen. They were already 2 weeks past the conviction when they did this new strategy. After 2 weeks, you only have 30 days in Texas to file an appeal. 2 weeks is not enough to go through every scintilla, which is what you need to do if you file an appeal. They did not have enough time, no matter what their team is, no matter what their dream team is. This is not going to work. And Karmelo's dad, according to a post that he put on, and according to journalist Sarah Fields, he seems to be excited, thinking this appeal is going to happen. Karmelo's dad, it's not going to happen. If Karmelo's request is granted, it would take months, maybe even years, for a new trial. So yeah, he'll be sitting in the pokey for a long time. Now, what did Karmelo say under that tent? What did Karmelo say under that tent for all those for those couple of minutes under that tent? It's vile, and if you haven't heard, you got to hear this now. He challenged Austin Metcalf to a fist fight under that tent. Metcalf said, "I'm not going to fight at a track meet." He said, quote, to everybody under the tent, "You're not going to move me. You're a bitch." Austin was defending us. Said one of the witnesses said that Karmelo said, "You're not going to move me. You're a bitch," and then said Austin was defending us. That witness. Karmelo said, "Y'all are ass" under the tent. Karmelo said, "I am not leaving." Full word, F word, F y'all. Y'all a bunch of P words. The full word P word for the female anatomy. F y'all. I'm not leaving. F y'all. Y'all a bunch of P words. Y'all not going to do nothing about it. When asked to leave. That's what he said. So that is Karmelo Anthony, and that is who he is and what he said before he murdered Austin Metcalf. Now you know he's acting a thug. He did what a thug does, and now he's played a grown man's game, and now he's in jail. A grown-ass man in jail. Don't drop the soap, Karmelo. Graham Platner in just 1 second, including, you got to hear all the kind of boom, boom, boom for all the Democrats, what they say about Graham Platner. Like, yeah, you know, these things are not good. Yeah, but, and I believe all women, but, da, 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 da. And here they sit. And is it a cult if they excuse things like rape or beating women, attacking women, cheating on your wife? Is it a cult if you overlook that because you want to win for your team more than caring about a woman being violated? We'll get into that in just a minute. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPRB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Listen, Randy's been my CPA for like 10 years now. And this is my first year, 2025 was, being solo as a small business owner. And let me tell you, Randy had me plan conservatively, and my mind was blown at how incredible he performed for me. That's how good they are. If you have a death in the family where there's some tax issues, if you have tax issues with yourself personally or for your business, call Randy Martin at IRSprob.com. He's my CPA for 10 years now. Here we are hanging out 10 years ago. Look at that. Randy on the right, me in the middle. And then you got Ray and George on the left. They are all still on the team, as well as me. Here's Randy speaking at UT Austin, his alma mater, the best accountancy school in the state, and speaking to the Chirins. Look at how young they are compared to us now when we were in college. Like, look at that, man. Unbelievable. So go to IRSprob.com. That's IRSPRB.com. Or call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. And tell them Chris Crock sent you. Guess what else? Look at my shirt. Due West Foundation and Plumbing. Woo-woo! Every single piece of plumbing in this house that's been touched is done by Due West. They replaced my water heater. They replaced 17 feet of piping under my slab foundation when it went bad. They did foundation work after that because you can't put the dirt back in the way it was before. They do root shields. They did root shields around my house. Every reason my house runs well is because of Due West Foundation and Plumbing. And don't ever use a plumber that's not also foundation. Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, it's his company, and that's what he does. Multi-generational plumbing and foundation business. Jim and his wife Mary run it, but their sons Adam and Johan have been on staff for like 13, 14 years. They've done a tremendous amount of work at this house. We are friends. My wife even worked at Due West Foundation and Plumbing for 3 years. They are the best. If you want the best, call Due West. To go to du-west.com, that's du-west.com, or call 972 406-0912, 972-406-0912. Oh, they did my bathroom remodel. By the way, they do concrete leveling, retention walls, all things plumbing and foundation. And they even did, what's it called? I always forget what this is. When they moved the land, what's that called? They restructured a bunch of dirt so that my house didn't have water coming in it. Grading. They regraded my backyard. So they are the best guys, okay? Graham Platner. Elizabeth Warren said, "He's my kind of guy." Here, let's see when she said that. Right, here we go. "He's my kind of guy," she said.
"That's my kind of man."
Woo! Raping women, that's my kind of man, Elizabeth, right? Yes, he is. That's your kind of man.
"That's my kind of man."
Woo-woo! Sexual assault, my kind of man. And then, do you remember this? This is incredible. This woman who started the whole Me Too movement from the New York Times literally explain how Graham Platner is not like other Me Too people. No, no, no.
Graham Platner with a whole bunch of women behind him in the wake of these New York Times headlines. What does it say about our political moment that voters are willing to overlook the things they're willing to overlook here?
Well, let's talk about what they may or may not be willing to overlook. The accusations against Graham Platner are not classic Me Too accusations. They're not about a boss and a young female employee being subjected to sexual advances. They were mostly made in the context of consensual relationships. There are these very sensational texts about sex. There are allegations from former girlfriends that are not, the way my colleagues reported them, were not like classic abuse allegations. They were mostly like being his boyfriend gave me a view into him and I did not like what I saw. His character was scary.
This wasn't abuse. This is looking to him like, I don't like what I saw. It's not abuse. No, trust me, I'm the Me Too person.
He had this Nazi tattoo, etc. There was one allegation of crossing a line physically, but I think that means that these are pretty different accusations than, say, the ones that President Trump faced. And of course, in the Access Hollywood tape, President Trump bragged about grabbing women against their will. And so I think it speaks to the kind of confusion of the long post-Me Too moment in which gender-related accusations get bundled together, but they're actually very different.
Thank you, New York Times, Maggie Haberman, for the Me Too godmother. Thank you for explaining to us why Trump is bad, but Graham Platner's not. It's just not the same. Graham's pretty cool. Graham's a good guy. Who else said things like this? Quote, this guy's an authentic man, said Ruben Gallego, senator from Arizona, Democrat. He's going to win this election. Senator Chris Murphy, about the Nazi tattoo, from Democrat from Connecticut, said, he sounds like a human being to me. Oh, yes. John Favreau, the Obama bro and host of Pod Save America, said, Graham Platner isn't just our best and only chance to beat Susan Collins. He's a good, decent man who has struggled and he's grown. Oh, who else? And now don't forget, too, that Platner sexted other women up to 6 per his campaign during his marriage, which began only 3 years ago. Senator Martin Heinrich, Democrat from New Mexico. Platner is exactly the person the Democrat Party needs to win back working people. Yes, Sir Rape Slot is perfect. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat from Rhode Island. Seems like a lot of nothing. The only one who had anything to say that seemed unsettling was a woman who works for right-wing political operations. So what does that mean? If you work for right-wing, it's okay to rape right-wing women, just not Democrat women. My buddy Eric Erickson writing this, the Democrat standard now is that one of their candidates can sexually assault women, but only if she's a Republican. Once a Democrat is sexually assaulted by that candidate, only then it becomes a problem, says my friend. Correct. By the way, I'm going to go to, this is from somebody named Shamash Aran, who makes a great comment on this. It's a cult. Democrats are a cult. Why? The rapist, the woman who was raped, the Democrat who came out, she's saying that she delayed reporting a rape because she agreed with the accused politically. Like, she really loves Graham Platner's policies. That's why it was hard for her to come out. So what he says here is if your political identity has become so central that it can outweigh reporting your own rape, congratulations, you've joined a cult. Cults are famous for making people subordinate reality, morality, and self-preservation to the interests of the group. My, how correct that seems, doesn't it? Very, very interesting, guys. Okay, what else do I have for you? Ro Khanna. Congressman Ro Khanna said he believes Graham Platner's accusers, but stands by him anyway. Ha, 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 ha. There you go. Okay, what else? Lindsay Fifield, the woman who was widely reported in the New York Times, but they didn't confirm all her sources about sexual assault. They ignored it. They hid it. The Times buried it. It was a catch and kill story. You catch the story so nobody else has it, and you kill it so it doesn't have bad effects. So Graham Platner wins. She said this today in a long tweet. The line most shared from the piece, the New York Times piece that was, catch and kill, was the claim that the Times, quote, could not corroborate my story despite talking to two of my friends. Over and over again, they said that they could not corroborate my story. She says, I gave the names of all my former roommates who remembered him stalking our row house. He stalked her and waiting for me to return. I gave them screenshots of messages between these roommates and I discussing it. I gave them emails to my landlord urgently ending my lease and moving to an apartment across town. She told them all, but the New York Times didn't want you to know about it. It took a liberal woman who didn't want to come out, but she likes the policy, but she decided finally I can't protect the cult to the point where I allow him to continue to do things to women like this. Can you imagine what he would have done to women if he got this seat? He hasn't relinquished the seat. Platner. Democrat parties and Democrats of Maryland and Democrat Party saying you're not going to get any of our money if you don't drop out. No one's going to get that money. The funniest thing in the world is the guy rumored, Graham Platner is demanding that he gets to pick who replaces him. And the guy that is rumored to replace him is even worse. I'll read the allegations in just a second, but he's accused of throwing a bottle at a woman in a fit of rage. I'll get to that in just a second. Unbelievable. By the way, Graham Platner's campaign just posted for a job for somebody. A job. They're looking for a research director to research and help them get out of this hole. Watch this. This is so funny. The position for research director for Graham Platner for U.S. Senate has paying a salary of $7,000 to $11,000 a month based on experience. The ideal candidate will have experience conducting opposition and self-research. Yes, you might find out that Graham's a rapist, according to this woman. Right? You might find out some more stuff, or maybe it's do upper research on Susan Collins. Good luck finding anything about her. It's just so funny. Now, the guy that Graham Platner reportedly wants to replace him with, if he's going to step down, he's refusing to step down until they guarantee that he can pick who he wants to be a successor. This is all the Democrat Party. The people you vote for don't actually get on the ticket. You vote for them, and then the Democrat Party picks who they want, not you. That's democracy. Okay. The guy that Graham Platner is reportedly pushing to replace him, if he does step down, struck a female colleague with a bottle he threw at her during a disagreement, corroborated by several witnesses. This guy's even better, huh? Troy Jackson, former president of the Maine Senate. Quote, in our discussions, we have received troubling information about not only Jackson's behavior, but the behavior of many prominent Maine Democrats toward women more broadly. What? I thought Republicans are bad. I thought Republican men are the worst treating women. I thought it's the Handmaid's Tale. And you're telling me they can't find one Democrat male in Maine that doesn't mistreat women or do worse? Wow. Sources say in the interest of not seeing our movement make the same mistake twice, we're choosing to share some of this now, say some Democrats in the Maine Democrat Party. As Maine Senate president in the state Senate caucus meeting several months ago, Troy Jackson, the guy again that reportedly Graham Platner wants to pick to replace him, Troy Jackson, in a heated disagreement, struck a female colleague with a bottle he threw at her, the group said. There are many witnesses, and it appears this is a widespread open secret within Maine politics and not an isolated incident. Jackson's team are denying the claims. So take your pick. Do you want an alleged rapist, Graham Platner, or do you want somebody else who's a woman beater, an alleged woman beater? It's a tough call, isn't it? Remember The Handmaid's Tale. They say that's who we are. That's not what I'm seeing, at least not in Maine. Here's something else. According to multiple accounts, Morris Katz, the advisor for both Graham Platner and Zora Mamdani, is advising Graham Platner to stay in the race and not get out. Platner himself, even though Zora Mamdani said that he needs to step down today. Interesting, huh? Platner himself can stay unless the Democrats agree to his demands, which include in him getting to pick his own replacement, and that could be Troy Jackson, as this report says. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy has scrubbed all of his ex-account posts mentioning Graham Platner. No more, never happened. Even though all these idiots knew who this guy was, they knew more was coming out, and they absolutely said, this is our guy. What did they say? Well, let's go back to this one. What did this Yahoo say?
That's my kind of man.
Woohoo! Speaking of Democrats and candidates and horrible situations and things, watch this. Abdul El Sayed, appearing with a Holocaust-denying imam. This is the guy that's running for Senate in Michigan. Quote, Abdul El Sayed appeared with a Holocaust-denying imam, spoke at the grand opening of a mosque that holds vigils for Hezbollah fighters, terrorists, of course, in Lebanon, funded by Iran. He gave, quote, hearty congratulations to the mosque's imam who recently prayed to Allah to grant victory to our brothers in Iran. This is the Democrat candidate who's most likely going to be running and could win the Democrat Senate seat in Michigan. That's a fallen state, man. All right, we are at the 10-year anniversary. I cannot believe it's been 10 years. We are at the 10-year anniversary of our Dallas police officers, 5 of whom were killed on 7/7. I simply can't believe it's been 10 years. So I was on the air that night, and all of a sudden the news broke. I remember thinking, my God, we're about a mile from where all this is happening. We didn't know how many would be dead, how many officers would end up being dead. We didn't know who the terrorist was. It was a Black Lives Matter, radical Black Lives Matter. It was not radical. All Black Lives Matter is radical. It was Black Lives Matter terrorist is what he was, the terrorist. And he was sniping and killing our officers. He killed 5 police officers that night at a Black Lives Matter rally. 9 other officers were injured. 2 civilians were also hurt. This report from Fox News' Sean Rabb, who sat down with former Chief Mike Brown, who also, of course, ran Chicago PD and was a puppet for Larry Lightfoot. It's such a strong mayor system. You have to do whatever the woke leftist communist mayor of Chicago says, or you'll be fired like that. So he allowed himself to be a puppet. The shooter was killed by a bomb detonated. The shooter was killed by a bomb detonated by a robot. Remember that? Chief David Brown said at the time he didn't want to have any more deaths, and he didn't, know if other police officers could be killed unless they did this. And it was the right decision. It was one of the great decisions that Chief David Brown did, and the greatest decision he ever did. It took some balls, but it was obviously the only real thing that he could do. And I'm glad he blew them up. Now, I want to pay tribute to our officers, and I want to tell you some of these officers' widows I've worked with and kind of befriended. Senior Corporal Lauren Aarons, never got to work with his family. I'll never forget him. Really big guy, real sweetheart. He was saving a black woman and her daughter while he was dying. The people that were rallying against him, he was saving. Blessed are the peacemakers, God's word says, for they shall be called the sons of God. Michael Kroll, Sergeant Michael Smith. Now, Sergeant Michael Smith, his widow and his daughters, I have watched them. Michael Smith would go and show up at his daughter's, he was a devout Catholic. He would go and show up at his daughter's school for New Year's for Valentine's Day every year, and bring her candy and flowers and a Valentine's Day card from Dad with a big hug. And so one of the most beautiful things has been seeing Dallas police officers over the years go and hug her and give her candy. I've seen Michael Smith's daughters grow up to now be in college and play volleyball. God bless them. Patrick Zamarripa. Patrick Zamarripa was a young Hispanic man who was on bike patrol, worked around where I was at in my old job in Dallas-Fort Worth Radio at the United Center. He loved his job. He had so much fervor. He loved his job. He was such a beautiful, perfect police officer who served and loved. Patrick Zamarripa and Brent Thompson, a Dart police officer. God bless their souls. Pray for, again tonight, the families of Senior Corporal Lauren Aarons, Sergeant Michael Crow, Sergeant Michael Smith, Patrick Zamarripa, and Brent Thompson. Pray for them, their families tonight. When we mark this day with a somber time. I got goosebumps. God bless them. God bless their families. And I had Patrick Zamarripa's mom on, too. So I've had Sergeant Michael Smith's widow, and I've had Patrick Zamarripa's mom on. Both of them, repeatedly, on my shows. And God bless them. God bless them. All right, coming up next, a birthing. We got a Indian guy dropping a deuce in public, and I've got the picture to show you. This is in Central Texas. I'll read you where the post was made, where this is from, in Cedar Park in the Austin area. But before we get into the birthing center and a picture of their advertisements down on the border that just have been shut down by this hospital, a Texas hospital, having birthing tourism, according to the allegations, in broad daylight, just busted. They've been doing this for like 5 years, according to the reports. All that coming up next. The defecating Indian man up in a tree, I'm not kidding you, in Central Texas. But first, this show is brought to you by Blue Ribbon Roofing. Blue Ribbon Roofing is about to, on Friday, they're scheduled to come replace my roof. And my wife and I have to pick shingles tonight, actually. Well, we have to pick shingles. He's coming over tomorrow, my friend John Hopkins, to kind of do the finalities. And I got to give him my check because my insurance company check came back, and I signed it. Let me show you John and Tish, the owners of Blue Ribbon Roofing right there. John and Tish on the right, their son Trevor on the left, and his wife Jenna right there as well. They are getting the best of McKinney. They win year after year. This is a 32-year-old roofing company that has replaced over 25,000 roofs in the Metroplex. They are the best. In fact, my previous roofer from 7 years ago did not replace the decking. John Hopkins knows that you can get your decking replaced as part of the insurance package if the decking is too thin. And mine is, like, I think the original, and it's mushy. So he got that taken care of. Insurance is covering it. That's the kind of stuff that Blue Ribbon DFW or Blue Ribbon Roofing is notorious for knowing exactly how to do things. Here's John on my roof with me.
Yeah, what is that? That's the fiberglass mat underneath the shingle, meaning all the shingle's gone. Now you're down to the fiberglass mat.
I never would have recognized any of this or noticed it.
Of course you wouldn't. It'd be like you handing me your microphone. I don't know, I don't know anything about it.
Do you want to do a show for me?
I don't know anything about it. I got to depend on you.
There we are, having fun on my roof. Okay, so if your roof, by the way, is getting close to 8 years, do not wait. Get them on your roof to look at it, because a lot of insurance companies, not mine, I have a really good one, USAA, and they do a ton of USAA work, which tells you a lot about how good Blue Ribbon Roofing is. But a lot of insurance companies, when your roof is 8 years or older, they only pay, there's RCV and ACV, real cash value, actual cash value, meaning you won't get the full value of the roof. Not only your deductible you have to pay, but also minus what they are considering, like, I don't know, the age, meaning there's more wear and tear on it. They're not going to pay for the whole thing. Don't wait. Get them on your roof now. Go to blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. After all, they're doing my roof in a few days. Okay. There is a birthing tourism going on, according to multiple reports. Fox News reporting this, quote, HaveMyBabyInTexas.com. This is advertising on the Mexican side of the border, on the Mexican. This is in Mexico. Look at these signs. It says HaveMyBabyInTexas.com. Birth tourism right there. The hospital that did this, Mission Regional Medical Center, claims, oh, no, we weren't having birthing tourism. Oh, no. Mission Regional Medical Center featured these pregnant women in the promoted, quote, birth packages in South Texas, with delivery starting at $3,950 for a natural birth, $5,500 for a C-section. A spokesperson for the hospital today says they had 2 billboards within 5 miles of the hospital near the border crossing, on the Mexico side, by the way, but removed them Monday along with the website due to the potential for unintended misunderstanding. They said they started this in 2021. How many babies, is what I want to know, are Mexican anchor babies born in our country because of this birthing tourism that appears to be happening right there? That's my question. It's been 5 years. How many babies have they birthed and encouraged people to have anchor babies and made all this money off of it? The marketing materials regarding maternity service are no longer in use due to any unintended misunderstanding, says the hospital spokesperson. Yeah, BS. Greg Abbott has now directed Texas Health and Human Service Commission to immediately investigate them. Birth tourism is illegal, he said. The billboard advertised birth packages through their website. The website has been taken down since, as I told you. This is from Texas Scorecard. And earlier this year, Ken Paxton sued a Houston area birth tourism operation, alleging they helped more than 1,000 Chinese nationals travel to Texas to give birth. According to that lawsuit, the business coached clients on obtaining visas, assisted with immigration paperwork, marketed services designed to help foreign nationals secure birthright citizenship for children. Wow. Meantime, now comes Congressman Luz Rivas from California, Democrat, urging DHS to extend temporary protective status, TPS, to 170,000 Salvadoran nationals. They've been here for 25 years, and they want temporary protective status to continue past 25 years. She says, why does she want the extensions? Salvadorans are deeply woven into the fabric of American communities, and it would cause harm to local economies and communities if the temporary status was ended after 25 years of temporary status. What's not temporary? 100 years? What a disgrace. The illegals, what have they done to our housing costs? Well, the Dallas Fed just released this study. In the Biden invasion years, 2021 to 2024, yes, it affected local labor and housing markets, says the Dallas Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. A 1% increase in unauthorized workers was associated with 2.2% raise in home prices and 1.4% increase in rents. They found little evidence that home building expanded enough to meet the demand from Biden's illegals, concluding the influx acted as a housing demand shock in markets where supply was already constrained, like DFW. Unauthorized illegals, their flows accounted for 30% of home price growth. 30% of home price growth and 20% of rent growth. This is who made your housing so expensive. Illegals. Illegals. Got it? Amazing, isn't it? Okay. Here we go. Cedar Park, Texas, Central Texas, Austin area. This is a man that obviously looks like he's Indian, and he is reportedly taking a deuce. I mean, it looks like he's standing up at a tree or something, but he's on a wall, literally bending over a wall and taking a deuce. It's unbelievable. He's got tissue paper in his hand. I mean, where's his book? Where's his magazine? Doesn't he have some kind of a magazine that he could read? I mean, you know. Okay, so there he is. Let me share with you the details on this. Again, that's an apparent Indian man taking a dump in broad daylight in Cedar Park, Texas, in Austin metropolitan area. This from the Dallas Express. They have not independently verified his identity, nationality, immigration status, motive, or whether Cedar Park police have opened an investigation. Obviously, they have to. He does not look like he's sneaking on anything. He looks like he thinks he can just drop a deuce right in the middle of the day outside. No big deal. Facebook post also claims somebody filed a police report with Cedar Park Police Department, which they should. Obviously, they can figure out who this guy is real fast. There's Marcos Lopez, only in Austin. Exactly right. Dropping a deuce in broad daylight. The person posting this said it's time to end the H-1B visa system, the current one. Yes, absolutely. Libs of TikTok amplified the claim on X, writing that a resident claimed a man publicly defecated and exposed himself in view of the children on the side of a road in Cedar Park. Here's the guy that did the post that put this picture up. I like how he's got two pictures. Look at the guy just gazing at the toilet paper as if everything's normal. Yesterday morning, this guy writes, an Indian man was caught publicly defecating in my neighborhood in Central Texas. Since it was just hours before. And by the way, hold on a second. Do you remember a story that was national news because it was unbelievable? There was a pooping pirate in not Boulder, Colorado, in Colorado Springs. There was somebody who was dropping deuces on people's lawns in the neighborhood all the time, and they could never catch the person. They finally set up a camera. It was a runner, somebody that ran every morning early and stopped in the yard and just dropped the pants, took a deuce, and kept going. They caught him. They arrested him. So, couple questions about this Indian guy again, though. Does he poop like this everywhere? Has he done like 30 of these in the past couple months, and nobody said anything, and nobody's noticed it until now? Right? Is he doing it for gratification? Or does he just think, hey, I can do this in my home country? I mean, I don't know if he's from India, but let's say he is. I can do this in my home country. Of course I can do this here. Who knows? These are the questions I have. And by the way, you can offer me comments if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble or in the comment section. Is there any possible reason you can think of why this man would possibly be doing this that were some reason it would be okay? I can't. But nonetheless, I mean, if it's an emergency, that's one thing. But he doesn't look like it's an emergency here. He's just kind of looking around. Everything's normal, having a good moment with himself. If we import the third world, this guy that posted this originally says, we become the third world. That's true. Regardless of whether the immigrants are legal or illegal, we cannot continue to allow people who hate our country and refuse to assimilate to come here and leech off everything we have to offer. He doesn't look like he hates the country. I can't tell as I look at this. Again, he looks calm. Hey, by the way, oh gosh. Can you imagine if you shook this guy's hand after this? I guess we should think twice about shaking hands with people unless we know who they are. And we know they washed their hands. There was a guy that I used to work with. I go into the bathroom. He goes into the bathroom. We chat. I wash my hands. He walks right out without washing his hands. Then, like a month later, he wanted to shake my hand. And I just said, I don't really shake hands. I'm like, wow, dude, I'm not shaking your hand. Let's see here. He looks like, Marco says, looks like Telefrico after barbecue. Yes. There is a napkin, and Telefrico eats his barbecue with a napkin. Right there. Mm-hmm. So this guy also says, America is for Americans. If we continue to allow foreigners to literally S-word on our country, we will lose America as we know it. Well, what a great way to end. The pooping pirate, the pooping man. There he is. This show has been brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I will see you tomorrow, my friends. Oh, by the way, I'll be on in San Antonio in the morning at 10 a.m. on AM 550, I should say 550 KTSA and FM 107.1 in San Antonio, 550 KTSA and FM 107.1.